I got my homeboy Pete Frank with me, and we letting everybody know we got a dream. Yo, stay focused, keep moving forward. It's on the way. Keep that dream alive. If you got a dream, don't look to the left nor the right. Let's go.
Your faith is in Jesus. Completion is here before you even begin. Dreaming big of my life in the future. Already knowing that it's not far. Having the passion to work towards Jesus. I'm gonna keep my faith and swagger going hard. Don't turn the light. Just push straight. You don't have to fear more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show. I am your host, Yolanda, and tonight I'm excited about the guests that we are going to be having on tonight. So, look, I'm going to ask you to please share this broadcast, tag someone in, because what our guest is going to be sharing tonight is about how faith brought her through. And so we know that this is a message that is going to empower somebody, encourage somebody, but most of all, just give you a whole new mindset on faith. So listen, like I said, share this broadcast, tag someone in, and guess what? In about 30 seconds after this promo about the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show, I will introduce you to our special guest on tonight. And guess what? We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show, where you will hear stories from people who have experienced hell on earth and have walked past hell to share their stories. You will also hear what they are doing now and how their businesses, nonprofits, and ministries were birthed from their past trauma. So let's empower the world, one story at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Yolanda Jerry.
All right, welcome back. So guess what? I am not only excited to tell you about our special guest, but this powerful lady has served on various different platforms alongside me and other phenomenal women and men. But tonight is really about her and her story. So listen, modern day superheroes are not the ones we familiarize in motion pictures, but rather the quintessential professionals gifted with a sharp sense of servant leadership, willing to show up greatly in the lives of those who need it most. Yielded to this profound ethic is the multifaceted advocate, Master Coach Dr. Josephine Harris. Master Coach Dr. Josephine Harris is a military spouse and a mental health expert. I'm going to say that again. Not only is she a military spouse, but she's a mental health expert, a psychotherapist, and a certified master mental health and wellness coach and advocate. Furthermore, she's an international best-selling author and a nine-time number one best-selling Amazon author, who is also a global speaker, a philanthropist, and entrepreneur, regional vice president of the Herpreneur Network, and founder of her own business, Calming Minds LLC, a multi-dimensional coaching practice that helps clients to connect with the mind, body, and soul by way of inspiration, of course, coaching, and other dynamic mechanisms. Dr. Harris's mantra is simple. She is inherently committed to emboldening of women, particularly military spouses, facilitating for them all an opportunity of hope. So without further ado, help me welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show, Dr. Josephine Harris.
Hello.
How you doing, Dr. Josephine, or should I say AKA Dr. Joe?
Yes, man, I am fabulous and blessed.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, look, I am too, because guess what? We woke up this morning, so we can thank God for that because some people weren't as blessed this morning. So, again, thankful to God for allowing us to not only be here today, but just allowing us to be able to bless somebody else in this day as well. So, Dr. Josephine, look, I just gave everybody your professional bio, right? But I want us to know a little bit more about you. I mean, I know you, but I want the listening and viewing audience to know a little bit more about you. Tell them something that they may not know, or tell us where you were originally from.
Oh, wow. I'm really originally from Savannah, Georgia, but I live in Washington State. Let me tell you, I have 7 beautiful, wonderful children, 9 grandkids, and we are a huge family. We come from a military background with we got kids in the Navy, in the Air Force, and the Army, so we're a blended family. And whoo, that is like keep me on my toes.
Wow, you do have a big family, but hey, if there's anybody can do it, we know that Dr. Josephine can do it because with all those hats that you're wearing, plus having to take care of your family, we know that's some big shoes to fill, but you've been doing it and nothing has stopped you. So look, I commend you for making sure that you continue to do things when it comes to as when it comes to taking care of your family as well, because family is important. So, Dr. Josephine, we know that the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show is about sharing relatable information, about encouraging people, about the guests being authentic because we want life-changing conversations to happen, right? And so, let's get into what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I know that tonight our topic is about faith brought me through. So, why don't you share with us what that looks like? Because some people have faith, some people don't. But a lot of times I tell people sometimes you gotta faith it through a lot of things that you have to face in life, the challenges, the trials, the tribulations, and knowing that there's a higher power more than just leaning on self. And so can you share with us what that story is that led you, or give us the synopsis of why we're talking about faith brought me through tonight.
Dr. Yolanda Jerry, thank you for having me on your show. Let me tell you, woo, when I say faith brought me through, it brought me through. I beginning to, after my mom passed in 2009, I began to lose my faith. And I'm beginning to question why God took my mom away. Because one of the things is that me and my mom was close, and she took care of my nephew. And when the tragedy happened with her being let me begin like this. Short story short, I'm tell it like this. My mom wasn't sick the morning that she was. We all went to church, and one day, let me tell you, all 5 of her kids, all 6 of her kids went with the church, grandkids, the children, and all. And it all of a sudden, my mother couldn't breathe. So we in church. She went in the bathroom, and I was asking her, "Is she okay?" And she was saying, "No, I'm not okay." So she couldn't hardly breathe, and all of a sudden, she collapsed in the middle of the church. And you can see how her eyes were starting to roll back, and it was so crowded, so everybody had to leave the church. So I'm on the floor, everybody looking at me like, okay, I'm the middle child looking at me for, what are you going to do? So only thing I had to do, and I was giving her CPR. I brought her back alive. And waited for the ambulance. So we had to get everybody at church. I waited for the ambulance. I'm doing CPR, and my mom was not small. And during that time, I was small. I was wearing like a 1 something. But it's hard giving CPR to a full-size individual. So nobody else knew CPR but me, because during that time I'm an RN. So I'm giving her CPR, and I'm bringing her and they on the phone calling the ambulance, and the ambulance coming. Took the ambulance at least 10-15 minutes. I'm giving her CPR for 10-15 minutes. I'm giving her CPR, and I brought it back. So they put it in the ambulance, and she left again. So I seen them giving her CPR, and when the ambulance pulled up, they had to immediately get there because she was gone for I think 5 seconds, and they had to really immediately get her there. And she had a conjunctive heart failure. So when we got to the hospital, they already been saying that she was losing oxygen in her brain, so she was beginning to be brain dead, not knowing that my mama changed her policy, not knowing that my mama changed her executive estate to me, leaving me to the decision of saying that, okay, the doctor said that she was on life support. She was on life support for what, almost a couple of days, and it was a week long. And not knowing that, he came to me and said, it's time to make a decision to pull the plug. And everybody looking at me like, okay, what are you going to do? I'm like, okay, we all mama kids. So why is y'all leaving this decision up for me? But the hardest thing that I had to really overcome is blaming God. Blaming God for taking my mother away, because sometimes we blame God, but God always have a better place for them. And she was suffering, and we didn't know she was suffering because she never told us. Only thing she kept saying us, I'm okay. But it's clear that, like I'm telling you, when I was in the hospital with my mom, and they gave me the decision to whether to pull the plug or not, because she was already brain dead. She was not getting any brain activities. Her brain cells was going. All her blood cells was going. All the blood in her body was going. It's like she was deteriorating. So I had to make a decision. And one of the things that I realized that I have to pray. And I have to pray. I have to ask God to forgive me for blaming him for taking my mama away. Because during that time, we don't know why God do certain things, but we tend to get upset with God. And when I say I got upset with God, let me tell you, Dr. Yolanda, that faith just went out the door. So I'm like, okay. And then I'm telling you, it's like a light came down and shined on my mom, and it said, and I'm thinking it was her spirit, because she said, you know what? She called me Joe. She said, Joe, I'm ready to go. It's okay to let me go. It's okay. God has his plan. I'm telling you, it was like a day. If you have not seen a spirit of your loved one spirit come and literally sit on the bed and talk to you, let me tell you, that is a experience in itself. It's like she told me it's time to let me go. So I had to realize that, I like, you know what? I talked to my sister them, and I let them know, and I was telling them that it's time to let mama go. She came to me and told me it's time to let her go. And they was thinking I'm crazy. Like, how she come to you and she passed? I'm telling you, you have to have that faith, that belief, and that spirit that God had installed in you to see that. And when I say faith brought me through a lot of things. As a military spouse, I went through all of death upon me. And when I mean death upon me, like after I put my mom in arrest, my husband's mother had passed. And when I say, long story short, when I say my husband's mother had passed, and he's down, and he was deployed, and he's a twin, so it was difficult for me to explain to him that they found your mom dead. And you have to, and you know, Dr. Yolanda Jerry, it's not easy trying to hunt your loved one down, hunt your soldier down, trying to tell them that your mom or your someone in your family died. You got to go through the Red Cross, you got to go through the chain of command, you got to go through it, and they're just not going to give up information to you.
Oh, trust me, I know. Believe me, I know. And Dr. Josephine, I mean, just even if we go back a little bit talking about your, losing your mom, I feel that because, I lost my dad, right? And I know you remember me talking about that before. And, when a responsibility is placed on you, because I heard you say you're the one that has to make the decisions. You're like, really? I'm the one that's going to make the decisions. And so, I understand that. I feel that, because I had to do the same thing. I didn't find out until my father got sick that I was placed in a position where I was on the advanced directive, right? Mm-hmm. And so at that point, you have to have a mindset shift. And it's like, okay, this is not about me. This is about taking care of what my mother or what my father has asked me to do. And I have to sit my feelings aside, and I have to trust in God to work through me to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to do as the child. to honor our mother or our father's wishes. But I truly understand what it's like to have to lose a parent, because it's not easy. It's not easy losing a parent, and it's like we have to continue to push forward. It's like, even though we want to grieve, we ain't got time to grieve. We have to just continue to push through while everybody else is back here crying and snot nose and everything else. But it's like, I have to continue to keep things going. Keep, okay, I done lost my father, lost your mother. Now we got to take care of all the business, and it's sad to say it that in that way, because it's not really business, but it is business. It's family business, and to make sure that we honor our parents in the way that we will remember them, right? And so, just knowing that you didn't even know that your mother was sick or she was dealing with things, and that was her way of protecting you all, because we get worried about our parents once we find out they're sick. And I would hope that I'm glad that my dad didn't hide anything from me, and I'm glad that even I'm hoping that my mother isn't hiding anything. She always tells me about her doctor's appointments and all these different things, and that's just so we can be abreast and know what to expect if something does come up, so but losing a parent is not easy. And that thing about the parent coming in and talking to you, even when they go, even when it's like, okay, it's time to let me go. I've had those visits too. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to let me go. You're not letting me go. You're going to see me again. And that's how we have to take it. I will see you again. We are going to see our parents again. It ain't going to be here on earth, but we will see them in eternal life. So we'll be reunited. I truly believe that. And so that's what we hold on to. That's something that we have to hold on to. But until we get there, we have all of the memories. We have all the pictures. Let me tell you, I'm a picture taking somebody. You understand? Because that's what gets me through. I can go back and look and reflect on all the great times, all the good conversations. You know what I mean? And so, even just having this conversation with you, I hope that this is even encouraging you too as well. Like, reflect on all the great times. You got some family members that are, say what they say, but what your personal experience was with your mother. So you hold on to those things, so continue to, speak about your mother, because you're going to have somebody that's going to have a breakthrough. Somebody don't know how to deal with these kind of things. And so by you talking about your faith and how you had to faith it through that, even when you blame God, you had to repent for that thing. You had to repent for that thing, because you knew that wasn't right. You knew that wasn't right. And we all know that we serve a God that forgives us all.
Yes.
So, wow. Well, I'm going to go to a commercial break, and we're going to continue to talk about this faith. I always say faith everywhere you go. Every place you go, we got to faith it. But we'll go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back, and we'll talk about this some more. All right, and we are back. And tonight's show is sponsored by none other than GoFig Company. GoFig Company. So you're looking to up-level your brand, up-level your visibility, whether it's websites, social media graphics, landing pages, you named it. Automation systems, GoFig Company and their team is the way to go. You know how I know? Because I'm a loyal client, and I make sure that everything that I need, I go through them and their team majority of the time. So again, reach out to GoFig Company. Their website is www.gofig.com. Again, that is www.geauxfig.com. All right, Dr. Joe. So look, for those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking with the amazing Dr. Josephine Harris, and we are talking about how faith brought her through. Okay. And she just was talking about, before we went to commercial break, about how she basically had to faith it through even losing her mother. And so then she goes into talking about, her spouse losing their parent. And so how that was not an easy task. So let's get to that a little bit about you, because I know trying to reach family members and trying to reach a loved one through the military system, that is not easy when they deployed. I know, because it's like you said, you have to go through American Red Cross, and they have to go through their whole little system to try to get these notifications that happen. So let's talk about that, Dr. Josephine, because somebody might have to deal with that one day. So I want you to help somebody today.
Let me tell you, Dr. Jerry, it was like, oh my goodness, you have to go through so much, because when they called me, they found my husband's mother was lumped over in the bed. So they didn't know how to get in touch with the brothers, because both of the brothers, my husband's a twin, both of the brothers was in the military. Both of them in the army, both of them was deployed. So only thing they could have did is got in touch with me, and they knew that I could have got in touch with them. But you have to go through so much when a loved one is passed, or someone in loved one, you had lost a loved one. You got to go through the Red Cross. The Red Cross you got to know what funeral home they took, when they was passed, when they died. You got to know if they any family members back home, and then the Red Cross got to verify all that information before they even contact your soldier member. And then they don't contact the soldier member. They have to send a red alert to the in Washington. The Washington State, Washington D.C. send that red alert to the commander and to the main base that he was in. Then that base had to send that alert to wherever he was deployed at. And during this time, both of them one was in Iraq and one was in Afghanistan. So two separate directions, and I had to make sure that they had the right reference number for both of them. Because if you have two separate reference numbers, then one might come back and one don't. So it was the most dreading thing to tell my husband and to let him know, although my husband and I talked a lot when he was deployed, but who wants to tell your husband over the phone, like, your mom just passed away? And him and they was close. So I had to really think about how I was going to tell him. And do I really want to tell her, or do I really want the Red Cross to do it? Although I'm a mental health professional, but it's totally different when it hit home. And I had to really put my faith in God and talk to God and like, God, should I tell him? Should I just let the Red Cross tell him, let them know? And God told me to let the Red Cross let them know so that they can get the proper entities to come back, because me telling him, no telling what his state of mind would have been. He was downrange with ammunitions, and you have to carry all this ammo, these guns, and so no telling how he would have reacted. And when the Red Cross told him they had to take all the ammunition and all that stuff from him because of that, and it was the most really dreadful thing of letting your husband know that his mom passed away. And then it was difficult for them because she had all boys. So they didn't know how to plan a funeral. They don't know how to call the family members. So me and my sister-in-law had to do everything. So it's like I really haven't had time to even grieve, because I went from my mother death into his mother death. And then after his mother death, we handled that. Then my auntie had passed away like 2 or 3 years later. After that, then my stepfather who raised me had passed away. And he waited until I came to see him and passed away, because he was wanting to see me. So he was in a state of mind of like, I'm not leaving until I see Joe. So we coming. That's just the time we was stationed in Hawaii. We was coming and we came back and we went to see him. And after he seen me, he gave me a hug, and then he said, I love you. And then next couple of hours, he was gone. So they said he was asking about me. So he waited. He said, I cannot leave without seeing her, because he haven't seen me in a while. And the funniest thing, Dr. Jerry, I was coming back to see him because I was going to surprise him on his birthday. And this happened. And it triggered onto, when I say my faith brought me through after my mom, then all this grieving and all that, it didn't give me a time to grieve the proper way. And you know what I did my grieving in? A lot of education. I did. It's like I was just numb. And that only thing I did is just went to school. went to school. I was taking care of my husband. I was taking care of the kids. I was taking care of the but I was going to school and I had a 4.0 on. I was just going to school. And then I had to realize and God, and I talked to my pastor, and God came to me and said, you know what, you have to slow down. You have really not grieved. And I'm just now beginning to grieve a lot of processing, going through the process of grieving. And it's been over years. And I'm just now getting deleting my family member's number from my phone. And this was last year. So I started deleting my family member. I used to think my mom left a voice on my voicemail. And I just used to play it. And it's like, you know what? You can't put yourself through that. You can't put yourself through that. And one day I just woke up, God just told me, you know what? You need to grieve. You need to let them go. I got them. There's in heaven. I got them. So I had to slowly deleting a lot of numbers out my phone of family members that had passed away. And it was the hardest thing. When I say I had to have a lot of faith in my situation, a lot of faith in grieving, a lot of faith in getting me from point A to point B. I'm talking about I have grown a lot in God, and I have stayed in faith. And when I say my faith had took me through so much, it took me through a whole lot of grieving, how to grieve. I had to start over identifying myself because I started to lose myself. So that's why I'm very big on helping military spouses find their identity, because during these time of grieving, I started to lose myself in it. Wow. I started to lose a lot of myself into a whole lot. I started just embedding in education and just losing myself. And I didn't realize who I was in a person. So I started reading my Bible more. I started praying more. I started going to church more. I started talking to my pastor more. And I was telling him about all these things. And luckily, I have mentor, my first lady, my deacons, and my prophetess and my minister. They helped me along the way. And I am so blessed to have these people in my life. Mm-hmm. And then I met you. That's how I met you. I like, oh my goodness, I met you. I like, she is a veteran of the military. I like, Air Force. I like, yes, I got to get to know her.
Well, Dr. Joe, thank you for sharing that. And I want to go back to you talking about you was having death back to back to back, right? And you didn't allow yourself to grieve. And some people don't understand that when you bury yourself in work, what you're doing is trying to basically suppress that. Mm-hmm. And you're in denial that the family member is no longer here with you, and that's not a good place to be, So I thank God that you even snap back, because some people don't snap back from that. Some people don't snap back, and it's healthy. I want people to understand who are watching. It's healthy to allow yourself to grieve. You have to feel those emotions. You have to go through that process. Why? Because when you allow yourself to go through the grieving process, you learn new ways to cope. I'm going to say that again. When you go through the grieving process, you learn new and better ways to cope. You ask me how I know this, because I had to go through that process. You know what I mean? And can't nobody tell you how to grieve.
Nope.
Everybody grief is different. Like for me, like I said, I go through pictures, I go through, videos. I don't even delete my Facebook memories because it reminds me. I have, special times that I share with my dad, but it reminds me of those great times. Yes, I might be sad just a second, but at the same time, I thank God that I had that moment with my dad, right? And same thing with you, the moment with your mom, the moment with your uncle. And it's crazy that you even mentioned the fact that you say your uncle waited for you. Let me tell you, I understand that too. You sure we ain't related some kind of way, Dr. Joe? But I understand that too, because literally, I think my dad he was ready. I knew my dad knew he was ready to go, but he spared us from seeing him transition, right? And I say that he spared us because he literally sent me and my mom, and I was sitting in the hospital, and we sat there. We didn't leave his side. Every day we didn't leave his side. But when he was ready, he told me to take my mother home so she can go get a shower and she can get some rest. That was his way. I didn't know it in the moment, but that was his way of sparing us seeing him transition. I tell you, Dr. Joe, no lie. Literally, I got all the way back home to Mississippi. I probably got a shower, got in bed good. My mama was in the bed good. You know, my mama told me that my daddy called her and said, you know, to check to make sure she made it home and said that he loved her. And literally, no long, maybe not even an hour after I got in the bed good, after I got showered and got in the bed, boom, there go the phone call. So here it is. I'm going all the way back from Mississippi, all the way back to New Orleans. You know, now if I was like, Lord, please cover me as I'm speeding down this highway. I said, because I got somewhere to be. If I got to get a ticket, I say, I hope the Lord forgive me later. But I got to get to my daddy. You know, but even in the midst of all that, you know, like your uncle, he waited for you to get there. He waited for you to get there. You know what I mean? My dad, he wanted to make sure he saw me and left me in a good way. You know, left my mom in a good place when he left here. We didn't have to see him transition, you know. And so there are ways that our family members sends us signs.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't see them right in the moment, but those moments are there. But there's a reason behind that. You know, there's always a reason behind that. So I'm grateful, you know, to God that he, you know, like you said, your mother's no longer suffering. My dad's no longer suffering. He had congestive heart failure, high blood pressure. You know, he's on like dozens of medication, you know, but I thank God that he gave me the time that he gave me, you know, and now it's just me remembering him and always celebrating his life. Because I'm sure there's some things that you've done with your family members that you honor them, how and you do things to honor them. Like for me, my business was birthed because of my dad. You know what I mean? My logo represents my dad. You know, there's a lot of things that I do represent my father, and that's why I keep pushing. So continue to go through your grieving process. For those of you that are watching and just now tuning in, everybody grieves different. And I will say this, get connected to other people who have lost parents or loved ones. You know, it does you no good to sit by yourself, because we know when the devil has you by yourself, you know, out of mind is a devil's playground. And that's when he comes in. He tried to kill, steal, and destroy you physically, mentally, spiritually, and try to take you up out of here. So make sure that you have a great support network. Have someone that you can connect to who can encourage you, who can speak life into you, who can be there just to be a listening ear, because we all need those type people. And look, I got Dr. Joe. You know what I'm saying? So,
let me tell you, it's not the easiest thing. As a mental health professional, it's not the easiest thing. Let me tell you, I had to have a lot of people in my life. I had to get a coach. I had to get a therapist. I had my pastor. I had my mentor. It's the support system you have to really bring you through, and you have your faith, the God that you have inside of you. It's all of that surrounding you. So let me tell you, grieving is not easy, but you have a grieving process in your own time, in your own way. But get the help you need, because I'm telling you, it was a time when I was so depressed. I like, you know what? This is not of God. This is not of God. I have to step out of it. It's one of the times I didn't want it to even talk to anybody. I didn't want to go outside. And my husband kept asking me, "Is you okay?" Like, I'm okay. Just leave me alone. I didn't want to say anything, but I had to, like, you know what? You got to get out of yourself. This is not of God. You cannot be depressed. God don't want you to be depressed. Just the devil. I had to keep telling myself, like, my faith. I had to keep telling myself that God has brought me. That's why I say faith brought me through a lot of things. And one of the things I quote for is, I have to start in faith, stay in faith, focus on faith, and finish in faith. And God will bring me through everything. So I'm telling you, that's why I really strengthen is faith. And the reason why I came up with calming mind is because I had to really ask God to calm my mind, because my mind was in a place where I didn't want to go.
Wow, look at that. See, look at that. You had to calm your mind, and now your business name is Calming Minds LLC. Look at God. See what I'm saying? There's a purpose for everything that we go through. There's a reason why we go through, you know. And so, man, I just thank God for you, Dr. Josephine, for having the heart to share your story, because there are other people who might be watching and listening right now who might be dealing with like I said, the loss of a loved one, or who are grieving and they feel like they stuck. So what can they do? And so we're going to go to another commercial break. We're going to come back, and for those of you that don't know, we're talking to Dr. Josephine Harris. She's shared a story about losing her parent, losing her mother, with mother-in-law, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And also losing her uncle. And it was like one death after the other, after the other. And she talked about how faith brought her through. And so when we come back from the commercial break, Dr. Josephine, who is also a psychotherapist, she's also a therapist, but she even said she needed a therapist. So it's okay. Just because you're a medical professional or you work in the medical field, don't think that just because you a doctor or a therapist that you don't need a therapist. We all need somebody to help us through. So at the end of the day, we'll be right back, and we'll come back. And I want Dr. Josephine to share with us what are some ways or some things that you would give people as tools to help them through. And then we'll also talk about what are some of the great things that you have coming up that we should be on the lookout for. So we'll be right back after the commercial break.
Do you believe in your dreams? Are you a writer who is ready to take your story and turn it into a TV show, documentary, or short film? Believe in Your Dreams Television Network are accepting new content providers, better known as TV show hosts. We are looking for social media marketers and videographers. We have startups packages as low as $197 a month. Call us today at 813-309-2778 and get $500 off any annual startup package. Believe in Your Dreams Television Network is all over the globe. Our vision is simple. We are here to rock the world in millions of households. So we change the way you watch television all over the universe. Go to the website and sign up at www.believeinyourdreamstv.com. The BUS, Breakthrough Unstoppable Success, is waiting for you.
Y'all heard it. Beep, beep, beep. Look, tonight's show is also sponsored by Believe in Your Dreams TV Network. And as you can see, they are global. So let me just kind of give you a little snippet about the news that I got on today that was just put out about Believe in Your Dreams TV Network. Now, look, they are already on Amazon Fire TV, Android, Apple, they're on Google TV. But listen, last year they were in 200 million households. Well, this year they have gained another 300 million. So now they're in 500 million households. They now have added Samsung, LG, Philips, Xbox, Chromecast, and Sony. So look, congratulations to Believe in Your Dreams TV Network. Dr. Nicole Peters, my advocate twin, and her team. Woo-hoo! Beep, beep, beep. That's awesome. I'm so proud of that whole entire team. I'm always supporting them. So look, if you're looking to expand your network and try to get a TV network on their network or a TV show, go to www.believeinyourdreamstv.com. Again, that is www.believeinyourdreamstv.com. All right, so we are back with Dr. Josephine Harris, where she said, faith brought me through. So Dr. Josephine, before we went to commercial break, I was talking about you giving us some tips on how people can deal with what you've gone through and how they can hone in on their faith.
Well, let me start by saying that one of the things is that although you want to blame God, in your mind you want to blame God, give it all to God. Let him take you through the steps. I'm talking about let yourself be emotions. Let yourself acknowledge that your loved one is gone. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. And through my process, I had to realize that they are in a better place. It's okay for me to be emotional. It's okay for me to be upset. But I don't have to stay stuck in that place of depression. I don't have to stay stuck in that place of anger. I don't have to stay stuck in that place of I don't want anybody touching me. So I had to really in tune with myself, my spirit, my mind, my soul. I had to ask God to guide me through all the changes that I went through with grieving, and get some support system. When I mean some support system, I went to grieving a group, which is a group with more people that going through the process that I went through. So I went to a grieving support group. I also got a therapist. Yes, a therapist need a therapist. Now, if your therapist don't have a therapist, then you need to get another therapist. Because we indulge a lot of information from clients and taking so much, so we have to dump that information back out. And don't let nobody tell you that therapy is just for people with issues. That's not the therapy is not for people with issues. Therapy is for people to enhance your life, enhance your mental health, enhance your spiritual, your physical. Just like you got to go get a checkup. You got to go get your mental health checkup too.
That's right. I call it a tune-up. And look, I always tell people, I said, therapist is not because you crazy. Having a therapist stops you from going crazy.
Yeah.
So you know what? You know, check yourself before you wreck yourself, is what I say.
Yes. And you know, the thing is that we all grew up in the church. And we all say, well, you don't have to go to no therapy. You don't have to get this. You don't have to get that because God got you. Yes, God got you. But think about it. God has you and God put people in your life to have you too. So you have God, you have the Bible, but God put people in your life to have you too, to guide you through his challenge, through the challenge that you're going through, so God can uplift them challenges you're going through. And you can deal with them better with a therapist or a psychiatrist or any person that you need so in your support system. So let me tell you, don't fray away from therapists. You have a pastor. I had my pastor. I had my therapist. I had my coach. I had a really good support system, a group I used to go to for grieving. Yes, I do. And sometimes as therapists, nurses, doctors, we can be our own worst critics. We are always helping people with what can we help with. We need help as well. So don't let this be the last time. Let me tell you, go to that therapist, talk to your pastor, go to the support group, have a friend like Dr. Yolanda Jerry.
Yes, it's so important to have several different outlets. You know, you have your pastor, you have your church where they can pour into you spiritually, you know, to feed you, you know, I call it soul food back into you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That spiritual food that you need. But then you also have that therapist that gives you that other part when it comes to the mental challenges that we deal with, right? And allow you to be able to keep that mental in check. But then you also have, like you said, have your support network or go to the groups, right? Because now you're surrounding yourselves around other people and you know that you're not the only one going through that alone. And there's other people that you can lean on and vice versa. And then, like you said, other people like Dr. Joe, you know, we have similar experiences. So it's easy to talk to someone who has gone through losing a parent, you know, or if somebody has lost a child. It'd be easier for a person to talk to someone else that has lost a child, so they can kind of, you know, piggyback off of each other and talk to each other in a way that maybe Dr. Josephine and I would not understand. So, you know, it's important to have several support networks, you know, to be able to, I always say, be stable, stable, you know, instead of rolling out of control. And next thing you know, you lose yourself. Like you said, you don't want to lose yourself, you know. And so that's so very important. So thank you, Dr. Josephine, for just sharing those nuggets with us too. So now look,
one of the things when I was going through the grieving process, and be careful how you say things to people who are going through grieving. Yes. We don't want to hear say, well, you're going to be okay. We know what you're going through. No, you don't. Because a lot of us don't go through the same thing you go through.
That's right.
We have our different revenue, how we deal with grieving. So don't, even if you don't know what to say when somebody loses a loved one, I'm going to tell you what, the best thing you can do is just give them a hug.
Give them a hug and give them an ear. You don't even have to say anything at all. Just let them talk.
Yes, give them a hug and let them listen. Don't say anything, because when somebody grieving, we really don't want to hear all that.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. We just want somebody to be able to dish out what we feeling at the time onto. So sometimes just being a listening ear is all it takes.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that too as well. I definitely understand that, Dr. Josephine. And so now look, we're going to shift over into the final part of the show where you share with us all of the great things that you got going on. Because I know you got some things up your sleeve. And if you don't want to give it all, you can just give us a little bit, but give us something, Doctor.
You know what? We, as we know, I was doing a 90-day biblical affirmation with Dr. Nikki, and it's getting ready to come out. We've been a #1 bestseller. Woo-hoo! So yes, that's one of the projects I'm on, and then I'm also on another project with visionary Sharia Williams with caregiver. So I'm on that where I talk about how codependence has not boundaries. It's not just boundaries with codependence. So I'm talking about that, how I deal with my dad, distant caregiving and stuff like that. And another project I'm getting ready to do, I'm getting ready to publish my book. It's going to be the 7 mindsets. So when I say the 7 mindsets, it's the time was now. The time is ready. I've been sitting on it for so long, but God said it's time to publish it. So I'm talking about the 7 mindset, the mindsets that I went through my mental health challenge as a military spouse, and what I went through on my journey and my faith journey and my grieving process. So I had to really change my fixed mindset into a growth mindset. So I deviate from fixed, and I got several other mindsets in between to a growth mindset. So I'm growing into a spiritual growth mindset in that book. So it's really talking about how I have grown from fixed to a spiritual growth mindset.
Ooh, we y'all here. She about to give y'all all the juice, right? She's about to get about her. Look, this ain't no anthology. This is her actual book. Look at God. He was like, look, now is the time. Now is the time. And I can't wait, Dr. Josephine. So congratulations to you, on the couple of anthologies that you have getting ready to drop, and also your book that you're getting ready to birth. This is your season. This is your season. And I can't wait to read your own book, though. I can't wait to read that book. So you make sure that I know, so I can make sure that I can get my copy. And I want my copy signed. Yeah. I want it signed, personalized to me. I appreciate that. So
I also got a retreat coming up called Arise, Women Arise, which is going to be in Las Vegas. I'm a part of a group with Mommy Link, and it's the visionary is Valerie Oakley. I think she was on one of your projects before a while back. Yeah, but yeah, we doing some things. It's getting into the woman of being. Tapping into the woman of spiritual mind. We teaching her how to identify herself as sexual, with whether she's married, whether she's single, and waiting for that God-fearing husband.
Hey.
We is teaching her how to build that, as well as married and single. So we teaching single women how to wait for a God-fearing husband and what she have to go through in order to prepare herself for that God-fearing husband that God sent her.
Good stuff. How exciting. Well, look, I already got my God-fearing man. So look, y'all.
I see. Look at him with a hair.
But look, that's awesome. I'm glad that you are also doing that too as well. We need more people who are taught to wait on that God-fearing man. Because let me tell you something. When we try to go before God, it ain't nothing nice. I know, because I've been through it. I've been through it. Lord knows I've been through it, but I've been redeemed and delivered. Thank God.
But I'm gonna tell y'all a story about how me and my husband met, but that's another time.
I know that's right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Josephine. Now, for those of you that are just now tuning in, you're going to have to go back to the beginning and catch the replay, because Dr. Josephine Harris has shared her heart and shared, some of her story about her mom, losing her mother-in-law, and losing her uncle, and how faith brought her through all of this. So you'll have to go back and catch the replay. But Dr. Josephine, can you share with us how people can connect with you if they wanted to connect with you on anything that you have coming up, how to purchase your books, how they can go to the retreat that you said that you have coming up, and any other things that you have coming up in the future?
Yes, man. I am on social media as Dr. Joe Harris. I'm on LinkedIn as Dr. Josephine Harris. My website is www.commonmindsllc.com. I also have a blog called Healthy Minds and Hearts, and I give you tips about my mental health, what I went through. I even really tap into my personal life on my blog. So if you can, let me tell you, go in there and like, follow, and all that. And we also have a retreat coming up called Girl Arise. You can go into Facebook called girlsarise.com. Also with that, and all my books is on my website with the website up here, www.commonmindsllc.com. And let me tell you, if you go through the mental health challenges and the mental health setbacks, you know we can reach me at.
Oh, I like that, girl. You rhyming up in here. Go ahead. Oh no, you rhyming up in here. Look, don't start rapping on us now. No, I'm just kidding. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Josephine. It's been a pleasure having this real conversation with you on the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show. As always, I thank you for blessing us on tonight. And again, you all, if you're looking to connect with Dr. Josephine Harris, you can go to her website, www.calmandmindsllc.com, and please go and follow her on all social media where you can connect with her, and that is at Dr. Joe Harris. Again, that is at Dr. Joe Harris on all social media platforms. Well, do you have any last minute words or comments for our viewing and listening audience before we get off of here, Dr. Joe?
Yes, absolutely. Let me tell you one thing I can leave with you with this. And this comes from Proverbs. You have to stay in faith. You have to start in faith, stay in faith, finish in faith, and focus faith. And all three of them, you're going to have God put faith, going to bring you through a whole lot of challenges in your life. So stay blessed and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And look, if you're looking to be a guest on the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show, you can go to my website, www.IamYolandaJerry.com. Book your spot. My show is about having relatable conversations, encouraging conversations. The individual has to be authentic if they want to be on my show, because we want life-changing conversations to happen where we empower people and we encourage them and let them know that they're not alone. So look, if no one has told you that they love you today, I just want to say I love you, but most of all, God loves you. Take care, and we'll see you again on the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show next Thursday. Be blessed.